This is MIP. Get woke.
Quarter before the hour, folks, join us on our streams, on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain. What is going on in Oklahoma? We've got a special guest joining us right now. We've actually got a listener on the ground there, too, we'll hear from. But first, our very special and esteemed guest joining us. She is the president of the National Education Association. Good to hear her voice, Lily Eskelson Garcia. Lily, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and you can say my name anytime. It's good to hear your voice. And I love it when people, esteemed, thank you, because I'm a sixth grade teacher. I've always thought I was esteemed, but
That's
you can't
right.
get 12-year-olds to think of you that way.
Bless your heart, Lily. I'm sure they do. They just can't show you that. They can't
Maybe
let you know.
that's it.
Yeah,
They're
that's
too
it.
cool. They're
Yeah.
too cool.
No, I love you. You're wonderful. So what's going on in Oklahoma? Didn't they legislature tried to do something last night, but it's not enough. Is that my understanding?
Well, they're playing games is basically it. And let me just, because I was elected by my colleagues, 3 million educators in public schools, to be their voice, to represent their voice. They've got other folks in Oklahoma and even in local school districts. That's how the National Education Association works. The teachers, the support staff get together and they say, what is it that we really need for our schools, for our students, for our profession? And what you're seeing now is the collective voice of some pretty underpaid, humble people saying enough is enough. And look at what is happening across this whole country. It's certainly not just Oklahoma. I was in West Virginia, on the ground in West Virginia, which was a minor miracle. Decades of seeing school funding fall and fall and fall as legislators, usually in very, very conservative legislators with very conservative governors, saying, let's just give a bunch of tax breaks to big businesses and we'll pay for that by underfunding our public schools. What could go wrong? So what we're seeing play out is you can't do that forever without somebody saying, you're hurting our students, you're cutting their programs. And now you've got teachers who are saying, I can't afford to teach. I can't afford to keep pulling money out of my own pocket to pay for my school supplies. I look around at colleagues that leave the profession because they don't want to have to hold down 3 jobs. They're going, I've got a college degree. I could go do a lot of things. And I want to teach, but I want to take care of my own family too. So what you're seeing happening in Oklahoma and so many other places around the country, I heard from a teacher in West Virginia, and I think it's what is happening. And she said, I'm a 3rd grade teacher. And I look at my colleagues, especially the young folks that just got their teaching degree and they're so excited, and they can't pay off their student loans.
Right.
And so they say, I wish I could teach, but I've got to go take this job in business or technology or go back to law school, a couple of them, and do better for myself. And she said, I'm almost at that point myself, but before I give up a job I love, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to show up. What can I do? Put me in, coach. How do we scream? We've been writing letters to the editor. We've been, meeting with our legislators and the governor, and it doesn't seem to be enough. How do I get the public to see what's happening to their public schools? And that's why people are taking to the streets. It's to get some attention, and it's also to say, I need to fight for something I believe in, my profession and public education and my students. They're that desperate.
So I guess the bottom line, though, is the walkout on? Is it taking place anyway in Oklahoma?
There will be rallies. There will be a rally at the state capitol in Oklahoma City on Monday. I will be there. And what we had thought is that we would be looking at an historic down payment on rebuilding the infrastructure of our public schools, on actually starting to invest after 11 years of a teacher not getting a pay raise, 11 years of them pulling out of their own pockets for school supplies and field trips. And finally, we'd be looking at some funding not just for salaries, but for arts classes and after-school programs and library books. And there were agreements made around a table, the governor, the legislative leadership, the leadership of the Oklahoma Education Association, all saying, this is not the end. This doesn't fill the hole we've been digging for 11 years, but it's a good down payment. And instead, we see games being played with, well, maybe not quite that much, and maybe we won't do what we said we would do. And so nobody trusts that the legislature is going to just do what they're, it's a body of individuals. Individuals can say, oh, I don't like that. So until it passes, until the governor signs it, until it truly is that historic down payment that was agreed to, why in the world would Oklahoma educators just assume that all is going to go well? So they're going to show up and they're going to fight for public education.
So this is a raise that the teachers have been looking for, and as Lily Eskelson Garcia is saying, folks, teachers need this to survive. We can't attract the best talent if teachers aren't really being paid with their worth and aren't being paid a way in which they can live. Lord knows teachers, Lily, have to go into their own pockets to support what's going on in the classroom. Lily Eskelson Garcia, folks, not only a sixth grade teacher, but the president of the NEA. There's a listener in Oklahoma who's also a teacher, Brian Darin. Brian's on the ground. Brian, what's the latest? You're on with Lily of the NEA. Brian, what's the latest from your perspective there? Good morning.
The latest from my perspective, thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it, and I love your show. Listen to you every morning.
God bless you, Brian. Thank you.
It is April 2nd's happening. April 3rd, I believe, and at least I know I can speak for my teachers in my building. April 3rd is going to happen. April 4th is going to happen because we do not trust our legislators. They have messed us over for over 10 years. Our salary has gone down. Now, let me just explain my experience. My experience here has been my classes. I teach U.S. history from 1754 to 1877, and my class has gone from a year long to a semester long. My average students are 30. I have 31 in a class. My building's built in 1924, and it's falling apart. So I don't trust what the legislators are going to do to keep their promise. I mean, we've got, old funny man Tom Coburn is going to try to take this away from us. And he's raised a coalition, and now it's scared half of our superintendents. And they're saying just April 2nd. Well, I'm going to tell you what, it's just not what superintendents want. This is what the teachers want.
Yeah. Lily, would you like to respond to Brian?
You can hear the frustration and the pain, and I want you to hear what Brian started with, what he said at the beginning and he said at the end. This is about what's happening to our students. Of course we care about our pay. Everybody does. But we're talking about pay being so low that our colleagues can't afford to be teachers anymore. They're leaving. And we're worried that there's no one who's going to want to take their place. If you have kids right now, would you encourage them to be an Oklahoma educator? A lot of folks would say no. And what Brian was saying about his classes, the class size has skyrocketed. They're eliminating programs. They're cutting them back, saying, well, yeah, you can have a little bit of history or a little bit of this or that, but we're going to cut back the days and the hours to save money. They are short-changing students. And as we've been working so hard all these years to convince legislators to do the right thing, they haven't listened. Now that people are showing up, the press is showing up, the public is waking up and saying, oh my gosh, I knew that, we had poorly funded schools. I had no idea that people were working 2 or 3 jobs to be able to afford to be a teacher. I had no idea what was going on in class size, or the elimination of advanced placement programs, or the art.
Can I interrupt real quick? You mind? Because I agree with everything you're saying. We have, in my building, we've gone from 41 teachers to 28 teachers. It is absolutely ridiculous. We do not have Spanish in our school. We do not have art and drama. Oh, we got art. We just got it for some, for semester. But we don't have the essentials that we need to have a well-rounded society. Our kids are going to struggle. And I do believe, and this is my personal opinion, it has nothing to do with OEA or anything like this, but it is something that has destroyed the state, and it's by design. In my opinion, it has been done by our legislators, by both sides. In the 90s, it's been done by the Democrats, and since then, it's been done by the Republicans. So we don't trust anybody.
Yeah, I got it.
I just don't know what to do. I sit in my class every day. I get here every morning at 6:15. The school doesn't start till 7:40. I'm here last night until 8 p.m. grading papers. I go home. I get to put my kids down, and I can barely even stay awake to grade the rest of the papers that I have for the students that I only have me for a semester.
Yeah,
I have 93 topics in 89 days. How do I do that? And we need help, and we need it now.
What time is the rally on Monday, Lily?
I don't have that information right now. I know where I'm going to be, and it's going to be really, really early in the morning. But that's not when the rally's starting.
Okay.
But I can answer that question. The rally, most of us are going to be there at 9.
And this will be at the state capitol, right?
That is correct.
All right, folks. So to our radio audience, I know we've got to let you go. We thank you for listening, but we're still on our streams, just so we can just kind of wrap this up neatly. Is there, Lily, if people who want to be informed from the teachers and the union's perspective, does the OEA have a website where people can go and be informed, Lily?
Yes, indeed. You can go Google Oklahoma Education Association. You will see a play-by-play on the OEA website. And just like Brian was saying, it's not just educators. It's the parents of those kids. It's the students themselves.
Absolutely correct.
Everybody can show up. Everybody can show up and show their support.
Yeah, this is very important. Lily Eskelson-Garcia, the president of the National Education Association. I'll be in Memphis beginning the King commemorations on Monday, but I'm going to lift you all up while I'm there. To everybody there in Memphis, they're going to hear about what's going on in Oklahoma because I'm going to tell them about it.
I appreciate that.
Dr. King gave his life for sanitation workers. He most certainly would have also given his life for teachers.
He was holding a picket sign the day before he died.
That's right. So this is the same thing, and this is a very real struggle. Brian, thank you. You reached out to me over Twitter. I thank you for doing that. Brian, and continue to keep me posted about what's going on the ground. Lily, you do the same. I'm with you all, and do whatever it takes and continue to stand strong. And is there anything? Lastly, Lily, and I'll ask you the same question, Brian. Lily, is there anything that you all want the general public to do? Should people be calling legislators, anything like that?
Absolutely. Call the governor's office. Call your state legislator in Oklahoma. And, remember what Brian is trying to say, what the educators there in Oklahoma, they're not looking to get rich. They're saying, I may have to leave a job I love because they have neglected public education. Lord, help us all.
Yeah.
Powerful people continue to ignore those voices.
And Brian, you would agree, call the governor, call the state legislators, correct?
I definitely would. Our governor has told us to come up there on Monday to thank her for the stuff they've done, and we haven't even got enough to fill our classrooms for our education funding.
And just so I'm clear, are you all on is a 4-day week now? Am I right about that?
Well, there are a lot of schools in the state of Oklahoma that have moved down to a 4-day school week. So yes, that is true. Now my district is not. I'm surrounded by 4-day school weeks, but not my district.
Lily, as an educator and on behalf of the NEA, isn't that kind of dangerous? to be going
it's
to 4 days?
very dangerous.
Yeah.
They're saying we'll add a few minutes to the, to the end of each day, and then we'll cut off Fridays, and we won't have to run the buses on Friday. And look at how much we'll save. And it's leaving a lot of parents in a bad position too. They've got to scramble looking for something meaningful and safe for their kids to do on Fridays now. This is bad for children. This is bad for students. It is bad for the economy. There is no good thing coming out of neglecting and underfunding public education.
And it sets a dangerous precedent because, if they can get away with it, other folks will try to start doing
why
that
not
too.
3 days?
Yeah, right. And I mean,
why not just put it online and have kids, look at their iPhones and say that's what we're going to do.
Another thing I'd like to say is good for Arizona for walking out yesterday also. Good for the rest of the teachers in this nation who need to be lifted up because we are tired and we are not going to be walked on anymore. So I appreciate you guys letting me talk and
I wish people, and I'm not knocking police, but I just wish people were as vocal about defending teachers as they are about police. Me too. Including from White House lecterns at press briefings. You know what I'm saying? I'll never hear that. I'll never hear nobody say we love police. Everybody, we love law enforcement. Though everybody likes to say how much they love law enforcement. And that's fine. But what about teachers? If you have more teachers and better education and more support for teachers to bring about that better education, you'd have less of a need for law enforcement. I think I just said something, y'all.
Yeah, if we have an educated society, crime goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's statistically proven.
So I have the website for the Oklahoma Education, OKEA, all right? OKEA. Go there and stay up to date. Brian, thank you for calling in. Keep in touch with me, buddy. We appreciate you. Lily, love you. Be strong. You all stand strong. And you're right. You all are doing Monday what Dr. King was doing in Memphis. So you'll be in my prayers, and I'm definitely folk gonna hear about this in Memphis. In fact, I'm on MSNBC Sunday. I'm gonna talk about it there too, because that's what this is all about: picking up, continuing to hold up those picket signs and stand up for people's rights. So,
well, we love you, Mark.
Love you too
for lifting up this story.
All right, take care now. All right,
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, folks, that's it. We'll join you from Memphis all next week if all minds are clear. It has been made plain.